Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Try It Tuesday, and today we are going to disassemble a book and get it ready for spiral binding. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is find the book. So the book we're going to use is Chompy Fluff Monsters by Morgan O'Brien. This one here was damaged in shipping, but that's okay. We're going to work with it anyway. So the tools I need, of course, is a cutting mat. Make sure you get a cutting mat or something that you can cut into without causing damage to your desk. Do not do this on your glass, Tim Holtz glass mat. I have done it. It's not a pretty sight. Things happen and scratches are made. Excuse me. So the next thing you need is a X-Acto blade, a good cutting knife. Be careful, this is sharp. You can cut yourself. Disclaimer, I am not responsible for any cuts that happen to your body. Just saying. If you are not good with knives, don't do this. So then you find the center of the book and you break the binding. The better you can break the binding, the further in you can break the binding, the better. Because it gives you the ability to get into the glue without cutting the pages. Alright, so we've got the binding there. Now I'm going to move this part over a little bit so I can get better in here. I need a ruler just in case I lose my edge there. Okay, so I'm going to put this ruler right up against the edge that I'm going to be cutting, just so that I can press this down and protect the page. And then I put my knife out as far as I can without it wobbling. And then we're just going to follow the ruler. Like so. And I do this nice and slow because I have tried to do it fast and it just makes a big old mess. See, now I've pushed the ruler the wrong way and ended up cutting into that edge, but that's okay because it's going to get trimmed off. Now that I've started the cut and I've got the cut going, I can put a little bit more pressure on it and get further into that glue. So as you can see, the glue is starting to separate there. The book is now split in half. And now that should bring it straight in half like that. Now, remember which halves are half. So let's do this half first, which is the first half. So that's got the cover. So now we do half again. My guillotine is only good enough to trim 12 pages at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we cut through and only cut through the glue and the backing. And then we use the guillotine to trim off the glue, separating all the pages. And then we can start. Okay, so the bottom is cut, but the top is not, so we just go through it again. like so. So now we have them trimmed up. We've got a few here, a few here. Now this feels a little bit thick. So because it feels a little thick, I'm going to trim it again just because I know my guillotine. And my guillotine is a little tiny bit dull because I've used it a lot. So I'm going to run my thumbnail. If you have long nails, this works a lot better, but my nails have been trimmed recently, so it's not working as well as it would normally. Now this is the part where you have to be very careful where your fingers are. Because you want to hold both sides of the pages down and keep that knife straight. Like so. We got most of it. We've got a little bit up here. There we go. Okay, so then we put these back in order so that when we cut them, they'll be in order. So there's the first half. Then we're going to do the same thing to the second half. I'm going to put this over here. Again, we're going to take our blade, we're going to separate this in half, and then we'll separate it in half again. So we're going to find the center, separate it up. I'm going to use the ruler I have here so that I can separate that down a little. Because if I can mark it in half, then it makes it a lot easier. Then we're going to take our blade, come down the center, separating it in half. Now that's part 2, so we're going to go back to part 1. Oh, yeah, that's part 2. We're going to go back to part 1. We're going to separate this in half as well. It's not quite half. Just to make sure that the guillotine has the ability to go through all the pages without messing them up. And you could do this for each page and cut each page out. I just find it's a cleaner cut if I let the guillotine take the glue off. Okay, that needs to go through one more time. And it also eliminates any mess ups that I do with my hand twitching or the knife moving or so forth. Because I will mess up. Sooner or later, I shall mess up. Just saying. Alright, so now this one, let's see. Yeah, so that goes there like that. And then this one is the last part. So again, we're going to put this in half, or close to half anyway. I'm going to separate that glue just a little bit. Now this part here is... Now I'm going on an angle here because the pages are folded over. They're not directly into the glue line. They're just folded over it. So I went a little. There. So that's why I did it on the side here. And then as it starts straightening out, I straighten out the blade. Like so. And we've got, no, they're good. So we've got a bit of overkill there from the backing, which is fine. The backing will come off on the next run through. Okay, make sure that we have this in the right direction. And that goes this way. All right, so now we have cut apart the book. So we have the book all separated here. So now, I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera here. This machine here is called a guillotine. It is a paper trimmer, and it has an arm that comes down and chops off the edge that you want to chop off. It has a holder here that you can use to press your book down so that you're not taking too much off. So I want to take it off right on the edge of the book there. Make sure that it's straight. And there we have our first cut. So now all these pages no longer have any glue on them. And it's a nice straight cut. So we're going to do that for all of the pages. So that's the first set. Again, I'm going to put it in here. And try to make sure that everything is nice and straight. And cut off that edge. And then we put that one there. And again with this one. The only thing with the guillotine that you got to watch for, of course, is how much you have overhang so that you're not taking off too much, but are taking off enough of the glue areas. Make sure that that's straight. Because if you don't take off all the glue, the pages stick together, and when you bind them, I know this from experience, they do not open properly. And yes, I do know this from experience. I have one book that that's a little too much, that I did not cut enough off, and the glue is still intact in some areas. All right, so this is the basic way that I do this. I go through and I break the book up, cut off the glue, put the book back together, and then I go through and spiral bind it. Now my spiral binder only will take approximately 25 pages at a time, but it does leave a little bit of a remnant if I do that many pages. So I do like to split that in half as well and only do approximately half of that. So it makes it a lot easier and a lot cleaner of a spiral bind if I don't put too many pages in. So I have to be very careful how many pages go in. I think the max mm, that was because it was the cover. So the max that I normally put in is 20 to, 15 to 20 at max. All right, so now I'm going to switch you back over to the main camera here. Put this down. And now we have the fluffy chomp monsters completely separated. And not a whole lot taken off. There is plenty left to work with for our spiral bind. Now we are going to lose a little bit more with the spiral bind, but because of the way that these books are done, it's not a big deal. And that is how we disassemble a coloring book. Now I'm going to put a clip on this, and I will, if you want me to, I will on next Tuesday's video. So on the comment section of this Tuesday's video, if you want to see the Chompy Fluff Monsters bound and how I do the binding, because it's literally 20 seconds to do. I just don't have the binding machine out right now. Let me know, and I will do a quick little tiny video of how to bind those together. All right, guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Thank you, Mr. Chompy Fluff Monsters, for not being a pain in the butt and actually coming apart easily without any horrible accidents. Of course, disclaimer again is this is a very sharp object. Do not get your fingers in the way. Be careful of whether or not you're holding it right, whether or not you're going to drop it, that sort of thing. If you put it out too far, it will break, so don't put it out too far. Typically, if I'm using it without the camera on, I had it out a little bit further so you could see it on the camera. But typically, I try to keep it at approximately there, unless I'm doing a thicker book, and then the thicker the book, the further out I keep it, so that I can get through all of that center spine all at once. Or not all at once, but all together, not just halfway and then have the knife break. So that is how we remove a glued back to a book. Now you can do this with a heat gun and just peel them out one by one. However, I have never had a good experience with that. So I typically don't do that. Typically, this is the way that I take apart a book. All right, guys. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. If you do want to see me spiral bind this book, leave a comment in the comment section below the video and let me know. And next Tuesday, I will do that video for you. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.